Greetings and welcome to the Digital Dating Podcast YouTube page. Um, there was another video here that was old, so I'm putting up a new video. So this is technically the Digital Dating Podcast YouTube channel, but it's really part of uh, the anonymous Andrew Podcast Studios that I'm forming, or I have formed. Currently in the actual financial production of the corporation and making an LLC and all that stuff. But on YouTube, you need to have a intro video, and I had one, and it was very old. It just didn't work. It had old information, and it was made about 2 years ago, and a lot has changed in the last 2 years. A lot, so for those who may or may not know my story, I was in a relationship 3 years ago and prior, like it went on for a couple of years, and it was with a beautiful Latina, and it was everything that you could dream for in a woman until it wasn't. It's the way romance goes, right? It's great until it's not. And the first year was just fantastic. And then everything hit the fan. My story started because I saw and ignored all the red flags in the beginning of that relationship from the first 5 days, let's just say. Even when we committed like a month or two in, we said we'll be exclusive. She basically sat there and said to me, I can't be a full-time girlfriend to you in the way that you think that we will be. Like, at the time, literally there's a couch right here. She was sitting on that couch, sitting in a beautiful dress, and she was just shining. And I was just mesmerized by the halo and angelic effect of this beautiful woman sitting on my couch, and the words that were coming out of her mouth I didn't hear. I was just sure, okay, because at that time I was just, I guess, there's that myth about mermaids and sirens. That's what she was. What she was saying underneath, I didn't understand what she was saying, but what she was empowering, she was putting things into my head, and I had no idea what was going on. And like a typical simp or a typical man without a set of what, I just sat there and said, whatever makes you happy and whatever you want to do, as long as we can be together. And I didn't care what that meant. And in the long run, what turned out to her, to my detriment, and to her, I guess, to her advantage, was that meant she could do whatever she wanted to do, including see other people, sleep with other people, not answer my phone calls, go on vacations when she wanted to, just do anything she wanted to do with or without notice, and I would just go along with that. And I did. And that went on for quite a while, almost 18 months. And at one point, I finally sat her down and I said, this isn't working for me. And she basically said, well, I told you this is the way it's going to be. And at that point, the relationship had evolved. And I said, yeah, but that was then, this is now. And so she said to me, you don't like it? There's the door. And not saying me to walk out. Like, she's like, I'll walk out. But when I walk out that door, there's going to be men waiting for me out there. They're going to be guys that I could pick up the phone tomorrow, and I'll have, basically just not threatening, but saying, you don't want me, somebody else will take me. Under the conditions that I'm giving to you right now. And I, of course, saw that as a threat. I said, well, okay, let's not. Long story short on that one is I said, okay, I backed off. And then, I don't know, a couple of months later, I actually found her cheating. And she also left me in Florida. If you go to my podcast and you listen to the first 10 episodes, you'll get the full story. Everything's on there. I didn't want to really tell my story in this video. I just wanted to give you, the listener, a little background on me about how that relationship was, how it went, it ended ultimately, and why I am here now. I thought I was unique. I thought I was the only one that went through something like that, because there was some really bizarre stuff that happened. A lot of really crazy, crazy stuff that went on that I just didn't think anybody else really, like, she was an escort. She was an OnlyFans. There was a lot of stuff going on. And turns out that I'm not so unique. So I started this podcast called the Anonymous Andrew Podcast back then. And I wanted to come on and talk about that relationship and everything that had happened to me, and give you what I saw as red flags, and maybe help you not give it, like, so I saw the red flags that were there. A lot of times she wasn't even waving them at me. She actually handed them to me and said, here, these are red flags. These are what's going to happen if you date me. And I said, okay. I took them and I said, okay. So I wanted to bring to your attention that can happen to you. It can happen, and male or female. I know I've known women who have been sucked in and chewed and spit out by narcissistic men. So I don't know if she was a narcissist. I'm going to be polite and not go there with this ex-girlfriend of mine, but she did have some. I think she had, if anything, I'll say BPD, borderline personality disorder. Anyway, in the course of the last 2 years, in creating that podcast, it evolved. It went from the grief story into learning how to live in my own skin and forgive myself for the things that I did, because I did some pretty bad things with her, not to her, but I allowed her to do that to me. And then I got into the cult world. It's a long story unto itself, how I got into the cult world, but I did. And I created a cult podcast called Cultimatum, and that's doing extremely well. If maybe not even, maybe a little better than the dating podcast. And then also, somewhere along the way, I found that this microphone right here, okay, the one that you're going to move around, okay, allows someone to vent. You can come on here and you can vent about anything you want. I had a shitty day, and instead of coming home and yelling to, like, your spouse or partner, or taking it out on the dog, or taking it out on any, you can come on here and vent. And that's what I started doing. I would have these bad days or bad weeks, or I'd see something that really pissed me off, something in the world, like financial or I don't know, something. They're called, so I did another episode called The Weekend Rant, and that took off. People started liking that because it was just me going off. And some of my rants, I went off. So, like, the anger came out. And so that developed into its own podcast. So now I have a third podcast called The Weekend Rant Podcast, where I come on each week and I rant about something. But I'm redoing this video just to update my YouTube channel. But for example, this week I did a rant on sugar, how bad sugar is killing all of us. I'm an alcoholic in recovery, and I've done every single drug and nicotine, and I've had, I would even say, porn addicted, and I've been down all those roads, and I kicked them all. I can't kick sugar. I can't get rid of sugar. I got a box of cookies in there. I was just chowing on, and just go read my blog. I'm on my website, anonymousandrewpodcast.com. There is a blog section, and there's one called Sugar. It's pretty cool. If you read that blog, you'll understand. Every one of us, and I don't care who you are, we have a love affair with sugar. And I know there's going to be a couple of people out there that don't eat any sugar, and they're very fastidious about it, and power to you, but that number is small. We all eat sugar in either to excess, or we don't realize how much we're eating, or we're just simply, we don't care. We see a cookie and we're going to eat it. We see ice cream, we're going to eat it. We see a pastry, we're going to eat it. We see a donut, we're going to eat it. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about, but I just wanted to give you an example that it's one of my rants. So anyway, welcome to the digital dating YouTube channel. This particular channel is all about dating. and my dating adventures. And it has become more than just about me. I interview everybody on that. I have connections now. It's amazing the connections that I've made over the last, like, going on 3 years now. So I have some pretty cool people coming on, coming up shortly. I got the two people from the Ask Women podcast, which is, they've changed their name now. I forget what it's called now, but Kristen and Marnie. Uh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Kristen. Yeah, Marnie and Kristen. I had to think about that. It's one of my favorite podcasts, but they've both been. I recorded both of them, and they're coming up soon. So just to give you an example of, like, the caliber of people that I've interviewed, I can name a lot of them. I'm just, go check out the podcast, check out, and now I'm going to start putting all the YouTube stuff, all the videos that I've recorded. I just didn't do it. I didn't have time. Slowly but surely, I'm going to put all my interviews up here on YouTube. Hopefully that'll get more listeners, more attention, and money. Ultimately, that's what my goal is to get some money to retire and get away from my day job, which is killing me. It really is. Hey, folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you have been a follower of mine and listening, I really appreciate it. Anything that you've done, either reviews or 5 stars or any donations that you've given to any of the podcasts. I have a co-host, Melody, who does the co-podcast with me. Some of you have helped on donating on that podcast. We've gotten some money on there, so thank you very much. Anybody who's watching and any support that I've gotten from you, I just really appreciate it. And watch the videos and give me some stars and some comments, and I hope to hear from you. You can always contact me on any of the social medias. I am on all of them except the new ones, but all the old fashioned ones: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Anonymous Andrew Podcast. Very simple. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Ciao.